You are now listening to N21FM, a Pokemon TCG podcast. I'm your host, Glenn, joined as always by my good friend Johnny Sushi. How you doing tonight, Johnny?
I'm doing all right, hanging in there, man. It's been a cold week.
It has, and it's really cold right now. If on the night we're recording this, it is the most intense snowstorm we've had in years. In fact, we've got a whole centimeter of snow in where we're recording. So it could be a real catastrophe. I hope you stocked up on milk and bread.
Yep. No, I made a trip to the grocery store last night, and it was crazy.
I have no doubt. Yeah, it is wild. I was literally thinking for a moment, I was like, oh man, it'd be really nice to get some more milk so I can make some hot cocoa and have a nice cozy night in. No milk. Not gonna happen.
Nope.
Friendly reminder to everybody watching, when this goes to free feeds, there is now a Patreon. You can visit patreon.com/terminalcreative to support the show directly. $5 a month gets you early access to every episode, as well as access to our bonus show, N21 Plus, N21 Plus, and other bonus content, bonus episodes, things like that. So be sure to check that out. Helps support the show a lot, and it would mean a lot to me. Other than that, if you're on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends about the show, and if you're on Spotify, be sure to rate us 5 stars. It's pretty helpful when you do that. With that out of the way, Johnny, what are we doing tonight?
We're gonna be looking at the new Prismatic Evolution set and just kind of doing a real quick set review with the set dropping next week, the 17th, so a week from today that we're recording. And yeah, this is an interesting set to say the least.
It sure is.
But yeah, we'll do a little bit of that, a little bit of looking at maybe some of the decks and how they change with this set coming out, and maybe a quick look at some of the stuff going into the Birmingham regional event in the UK.
Yes. Absolutely. I'm super stoked about all that. We will see all of those things. So let's just jump right into Cringe-matic evolutions. I am not a fan.
Oh man.
As you can probably tell, I'm not a big fan of this set. This set is bad. I think it's really hype for a very specific kind of person. If you love evolutions, go for it. If you love collecting Pokemon cards, maybe go for it. Because also, maybe don't. Because if you do, you will have to take out a mortgage.
Yeah. 100%.
Do we need to go over the set first, or should we talk about some of the drama kind of surrounding this set?
Let's do the drama first. Drama's fun.
Yeah, drama is fun. Drama gets clicks. Yeah, last week we called out Celio's network. This week we're calling out collectors and scalpers. We're just here to create drama. That's how we're going to springboard into the scene. So for those of you who are living under a rock, but also somehow watching this show, there has been an almost unprecedented amount of scalping happening with this set. Obviously with the introduction of Pokeball and Master Ball Reverse Hollows, and it being an evolution set. This is a really exciting situation for collectors, and with the excitement for collectors comes excitement for greedy capitalist scalpers who really think it's super cool to be like, oh, I'm just gonna get. Did you see the video in the Charlotte Discord?
Oh my god,
that somebody posted.
It was
on
crazy.
Twitter?
Yeah. I wanted to see if I could pull that, but yeah,
it was this menace to society. If you haven't seen it, it was this guy literally walking through, and it was so funny. It was the Halo music playing. It was the but through it looked like a fort made of Prismatic Evolution EVs. It was, but it was so insane I couldn't believe it. I was thinking surely some of these are falsified, because there's no way. Even just like running the numbers, like that's a lot of money spent at MSRP. If you spent like $40-$50 on each of those, you easily dropped like
we're looking at a
Like,
stack 6 high,
yeah,
and it's going pretty much the perimeter of this room,
yeah. And this is
which is
this is a living room, by the way.
yeah,
It's not like it's, oh, it makes me so sick. Scalpers are gross. And if you scalp, get out of here. Like,
yeah.
it's a real,
Please
get away from my game.
leave the hobby. Leave the hobby.
Because, oh, sorry, I don't want to get too super negative all at once. It's really unfortunate because the set is really cool if you actually care about Pokemon. And that is the problem. Is like people who like Pokemon really are going to enjoy this set. For a myriad of reasons, right? Like, there's a lot of collectible cards. There's the evolutions, obviously. Even some of the cards that are really common cards. Like, I'm looking at a pincer here that looks like the original, like, art style almost, like sort of how we had that Tauros from the last set.
Yeah.
That was like very much, who was the original artist? I forget. Maybe I'm totally out of the culture, but looked like the OG like inkblot watercolor images of those
it
Pokemon.
fits that.
And it fits
It
that
definitely
vibe
fits
really,
that style.
really well. And we're getting some really cool cards like that. It's also, depending on how the pull rates look, it'll be a decently playable set because there's a lot of playable reprints that are coming out in this set. And it sucks to see that people are seeing this game that people really enjoy and like art that people actually genuinely love to collect. And they're like, ooh, this is a business opportunity. It's like,
yeah, exactly.
Just let people enjoy stuff, man.
The worst part is that the scalpers they're not buying and ripping packs,
Right.
They're buying this to then jack the price way high and just sell it at an unbelievable profit so someone else can go and rip the packs. And at the end of the day, like, we like it when collectors, go out and they buy a lot to rip packs so that they can get the chase card that they want, because Absolutely. At the end of the day, then they get what they want and they're going to go and resell all those singles, get rid of the bulk, that kind of thing.
Yep.
They'll probably still resell to try to get some profit, but they're not going to be reselling like crazy. The issue with this is that scalpers are going to drive those resale values up, and even reprints, honestly, for a while could actually still be really high, which is unfortunate when you look at just all of the playable stuff in terms of reprints that we have in this set. Can't speak for the not so reprint stuff,
Yeah, but I don't know. This one Lucario EX looks really, really good, I think.
Oh my god. I'm pretty sure I have bindered that Lucario EX like twice already off of other reprints. So.
Yeah, from rebindered it twice from 4 different sets.
Either that or it's just another Lucario EX bulk binder sort of card.
It's gotten to the point where I can't even tell if they're new Lucarios or if it's the same art on a different card. Because when you look at the attack text for a Lucario EX card now, it might as well just be like, it might as well literally read, don't even bother. It's just, there's not a good or playable Lucario EX. And it breaks my heart, but that is the way things are, unfortunately.
Very unfortunate.
But back to the actual, like, what the set consists of. It is a total of 180 cards. It is 49 of them are secret rares, which is pretty impressive. Honestly, that's a good amount. That is over a third. And 131 list cards in the main list, and 55% of those are reprints, which is less than ideal. Well, depends on who you ask, because some of these reprints are gas. But yeah, the coolest things about it are the fact that the highlights of the set are the reverse hollows. Like, there's going to be Pokeball reverse hollows, 67 Pokeball reverse hollows, and 67 Master Ball reverse hollows. As imagined from what was the first set those were in? 151, I want to say.
I think so.
Okay, I think it was.
I'm honestly not sure.
Well, either way, I'm pretty sure regardless of when it came out, like, that's the new set. If you know, leave a comment because I can't remember. There's like reverse hollow energies, I guess, as well. Which is cool. I'm always a
There's
fan of like more reverse hollow energies.
I believe this is the first. Is it the first one? It's that we're getting those like tessellated background energies in reverse hollow, or it may not be the first one, but we are getting those, I believe, with this as well. That
Oh
kind of
yeah,
new
yeah.
style of like energy card background, which is cool. I like the design on those, and so it's cool to see those kind of get like a reverse hollow
Yeah.
Design, or just at least like more of that. Please print more of that.
More
That
more
looks
designs, more reverse hollow energies. I need more energy cards to put in my decks that look good. As far as the set goes itself, it focuses highly on evolutions. Like I said, there are how many? There's 8 of these guys. 8 EX ones, and I think 8 regular baby evolutions as well. Some of them are reprints, some of them are regular ones. And then there's also an EVEX, which is really cool.
Yes, we do get EVX as well.
And it does integrate a couple of cards from Japan's list, EX Starter Deck Generations, which means I'm not exactly sure what that means for us. So it basically, some of the cards in the set list were cut to go into starter decks, and it's okay because those cards were bad to begin with, except the Lilligan, but we'll get to that. So let's start off. Yeah, are there any noteworthy cards that you see? Yeah,
I mean, if we're gonna talk about noteworthy in terms of playable, there's 2. There's 2 playable cards.
There are exactly
maybe
2.
3 if I like twist my own arm, maybe 3. But
for sure,
there's 2. There's Badoo, there's Regigigas, and like I said, for maybe a third one, we can talk about Tapu Koko EX. Maybe.
Sure. Let's start with this Badoo, though. This is a really important card, I think.
Yeah. So, for those who don't know, Badoo is pretty simple. It has 1 attack, Itchy Pollen, no energy cost whatsoever, 10 damage. During your opponent's next turn, they can't play any item cards from their hand.
That's right. Item lock is back in a big way.
Big. Yep. Item lock, I mean, we all know item lock is huge.
Yeah. Item lock's super big.
Yeah.
This is another one of those baby cards as well. So it's 30 HP, free retreat, just a little guy. Really pretty art on it too. The more I look at it, I'm like, oh, it's a nice image. But yeah. Only 10 damage, item lock, turn 1 going second. Free item lock it's ridiculous, truly. That means your opponent's not playing Rare Candy turn 2. That means they're not playing like a Buddy Buddy Poffin turn 2. They're not playing Prime Catcher turn 2 if they somehow do get set up. Like, this is a really impactful card.
Yes.
And it's clear in a lot of Japan deck lists as well, which we'll get to. But it's so impactful to have an item lock like that. Just, there's so many high impact item cards in the game right now. We've shifted a lot. I played a lot. Well, that's not true. I played briefly during the black and white era with a little bit of Heart Gold Soul Silver sprinkled in. And I've seen a lot of gameplay from the XY era and things like that. And there's been a huge paradigm shift in the way the game is played. Currently speaking, we have a lot of really high impact item cards, and really high impact supporter cards and things like that. And the Pokemon, or no, we have a lot of high impact items, low impact supporters, and high impact Pokemon. Back then, they had really, really high impact Pokemon, moderately less substantial and important item cards, in my opinion, depending on the format. And the supporter cards were just broken. And it's kind of interesting how that paradigm has shifted a good bit, to where now the Pokemon and like the item cards are so impactful, and supporters are just kind of there to accentuate things. It's why things like Pokestop have been so good lately, is because
Yeah.
most of your deck is going to be items. And you saw
Yeah.
that really popular in the black and white era. It's why Trashalanche Garbodor had to be printed, was because items were so prevalent. I think I just have actually doubled back and said something that disagrees with what I said earlier. But either way, regardless, I don't know what I'm talking about necessarily. You don't watch this show for accuracy. Trashalanche Garbodor had to be printed, and I hope maybe we get something similar. Trashalanche Garbodor, by the way, for those who are uninitiated, has an attack. Let me pull it up exactly so that I'm not further talking out of nothing. Trashalanche Garbodor has the following attack. Trashalanche says, for 1 psychic, says this attack does 20 damage for each item card in your opponent's discard pile. That's very good.
Which is gigantic.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
If that existed currently, it would be a serious problem. And I want it.
Yes. I mean, it would be kind of cool to have something like that. But
yes,
right now we don't. We are getting this though, and yeah, Badoo. I think Badoo is going to. I think it's going to fix maybe some of the issues we're seeing with some of these item heavy decks.
Certainly.
It's like we said, we talked about it last week with how good Pokestop was in tandem with like Dust Noir and Night Stretcher.
Yeah.
That's such a cool combo. With Badoo, you can limit that a little bit and kind of slow people down, and slow your opponent down. And even without like worrying about that, it's also just, it is a little bit of a collar on the stage 2 decks that are big right now. It's a way to slow down your Charizards and your Dragapults
100%
in a really, really big way. So I'm definitely excited to see this. I don't think it's going to be like meta defining necessarily,
right?
But it is going to be very impactful in maybe some deck building for the next couple of months until we get to rotation.
Absolutely, it's going to be really important. In fact, I think let's go over the Regigigas and then maybe a couple reprints, and then we'll look immediately at those deck lists, because there's not a lot to go over in this set. It's really, there's not. The only other card, because it is super impactful, that Badoo, and that's evident in those deck lists. The only other card that's worth playing that's not a reprint is this Regigigas with 160 HP, 4 retreat cost, colorless Pokemon with the attack Jewel Breaker that says, for 4 colorless energy, you can do 100 damage, and if your opponent's active Pokemon is a Terra Pokemon, it does 230 more damage. It's not
insane.
Even, they're not even trying to be subtle.
Yeah.
This
is a Charizard killer.
This is a Charizard and Dragapult murderer.
Yeah.
Because I guess Iron Leaf ZX was just not enough.
Yeah, no, it really was.
And I won't get super back into it, but I'm not a fan of this style of printing for balance. I ranted about this when Iron Leaf ZX first came out. The Pokemon Company is getting a little sloppy with their balancing, where they will just print something that is ridiculous and broken, and they're like, we'll just let it run for a little bit, and then they're like, okay, here's the counter. Like they did it with Iron Leaves, they did it with Jirachi, they're doing it now with Regigigas, which I'm not complaining about the fact that Regigigas exists, because I like that, but I don't like what it means for the way that cards are getting printed and balanced. Because I'm excited about Regigigas. It means I'm going to get to play Sablezard and have a good time.
I'm so hyped for that.
I'm so ready to Flower Select again. I'm tired of playing bad decks. But
just go back to picking flowers, man.
Yeah, dude. One last hurrah before it's dead. I also have never played a deck with Radiant Charizard to an actual tournament. So I'm excited for a chance to really do that. I have the Pogo Radzard just sitting in a binder because I've never used it.
Oh, it's so fun.
I'm ready for it. But yeah, Regigigas is really potent. That's hitting I can't even make a bunch of a whole segment out of this card, because it's just this card blows up Charizard and it blows up Dragapult. And what else does it blow up? Does it blow up anything else? I guess if you're struggling
I
against
mean,
Terapagos with the Bouffalants, this will blow that thing up for sure.
it's every Terra EX. So every Terra EX is well, every prevalent Terra EX. I guess there's like I think the only one that I can think of off the top of my head that does not like get eviscerated by this thing is Tyranitar, but like no one plays that.
Tyranitar is
So
not real.
Tyranitar
That's not a real card.
doesn't exist.
No.
Yeah.
Oh,
but everything else that's like a Terra EX that matters is just losing to this thing outright. Like you're doing in the Terapagos, the Cerulege, Dragapults, Zard, Ogrepons, just like that's everything that matters.
If it's a Terra,
and
it's
it does it. Yeah, and it does it as a single prize Pokemon, which is always something to look for. I think that it's pretty much going to be in just about 2 decks, mainly. And that's going to be your Lugias and your Lost Box decks, and that's pretty much it.
For the time being, I think it'll make its way into Terapagos EX post-rotation.
That's fair. Yeah, I could see it actually. Yeah, hitting the Terapagos decks because post rotation you're going to need to rely on energy acceleration more since double turbo isn't going to necessarily exist right away. Potentially, unless we see like some sort of double colorless type card revealed. So you'll need glass trumpets instead.
Yeah, and you go glass,
and that's your solution.
And that's really good.
That's honestly a solid combo.
Yeah, I agree. What else is there? There's nothing in this set. We can talk briefly about some of the supporters. Emrys isn't good. Black Belt's practice is cool. With the starter deck generations thing, there is a regional print for every Black Belt and every professor's research. And I think we talked about this on the first episode I had you on before the holiday break.
Yeah.
We briefly went over it about how the locations are all there. Love this card. I love damage mods. I love Kieran as a card. I love this. I love Black Belt's practice as a card. Being able to just have a flat damage mod, just be like, hey, I'm doing more damage. It's
plus 42 in active EX.
Yeah.
Really cool.
And I like the collectability of the cards too. Just pick your guy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's incentive. It's definitely incentive for this set being like a collector's set, because you're gonna be like, okay, well, I need to get all the black belts, so let's get Kanto, Johto. I think they're putting in which ones? Kanto, Johto, Sinnoh, Kalos. Is that it?
Yeah, I think so. That's what it looks like.
Seems to be it. Yep.
Sinnoh,
so they've left out a few generations. Unfortunate. Yeah, I know. I really wanted Ho and Black Belt. But
you hate to see it.
It's okay. They'll get printed eventually. We'll see them soon enough.
They'll probably be cheaper because they're coming in the starter decks. Guaranteed.
Right? Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, for sure cheaper.
Larry's skill is also here. It's fine.
Yeah. It exists.
It's A-okay. They also printed bad Pokegear. It's Roto Stick says look at the top 4, reveal any number of supporters and put them in your hand, and then cry when your opponent Ionos them away. Yeah, that's actual text. And then we've got, by the way, that's not speculation.
We do also have 2 new ace specs. We do. There's Max Rod and Treasure Seeker.
Max Rod.
So Max Rod says put up to 5 in any combo of Pokemon and basic energy cards from your discard pile into your hand, which is super good. Like that's really, really strong.
That's 5 Night Stretchers, baby.
That is 5 Night Stretchers. That's that's possibly Chin Pao making a bit of a comeback.
This is true.
That's purely speculation on my part. I really don't know. I don't play Chin Pao enough. I don't know if that's like good enough to actually solve Chin Pao's problems right now.
We'll have to ask Amelia. She'll know.
Yeah, it's for me. It's completely cool. Over the top of my head for that. But that's a cool ability. And then we have treasure tracker. Search your deck for up to 5 Pokemon tools, reveal them, put them into your hand, and then shuffle your deck. So
Yes.
if you were really, really, really looking to play Rotom V-Star one last time,
yes,
this is your card.
100%.
And there's even some worthwhile. It's definitely worthwhile because you can get this thing, pull a bunch of those tools, put them in your hand, and then research away some stuff, and then still use something like Force Sealstone instead of having to use Rotom V-Star's V-Star power. Or you can still use star conversion if you want anyway, and just keep drawing cards afterwards. Like there's so much you can do because of this. It kind of opens up a couple different doors, and lets you play out that avenue a little bit better, I think.
I do love
it's just
that
more
deck.
Consistency, but it's something that deck kind of wants. Will it make that deck good? No.
Certainly not. But it's fun.
It's still very much a rogue deck, but it'll be fun. So
it's
if
very
you
cute.
if you really
like
want
that style, then you should play it. I ran into on ladder the other day. I ran into a tool drop deck that ran Honchkrow V, and there is, I believe, a Pachirisu. I can't spell Pachirisu. Hold on. Pachirisu. That says, where is it? Oh, what the heck? Where is this Pachirisu? Am I going crazy?
Let me see.
Maybe it's not a Pachirisu, but there is an electric mouse of some kind.
Yeah. There's a Pachirisu from Brilliant Stars, I think.
Brilliant Stars.
Yes, there's a Pachirisu.
Yes, it is from
Wind
Brilliant
Up Thunder.
Stars. Wind Up Thunder.
Yes.
Yeah, it's Wind Up Thunder, 30 damage for each tool attached to all of your Pokemon. So this guy was running that with a bajillion tools and Honchkrow V and just loading up on tools for everybody. It was cute. I was playing Regidrago because I'm a bad person, and so I smoked it. But but it was cute. It was cute.
Honchkrow V being strictly better than the Rev Rooms.
Yeah, poor Rev Room. It never stood a chance. But yeah,
back in I was just gonna say back when I was in Tampa, there was actually a guy who came and played with his kids at the LGS that I went to, and his deck was a Rotom V-Star deck, and he ran it very well. Like, he did an insanely good job with it. I for at least for what the deck was and what he was playing against, this dude was still making it out, with a couple of wins every single night, which I think that's pretty dang impressive for that deck. So yeah, if you're looking forward, I guess, to throwing away tool cards and then putting them in the lost zone afterwards, treasure trackers for you.
Yeah, and then you run Cram so that you can Crisis Punch in the end game.
Ooh, there we go.
It's very big brain.
Thinking big.
Absolutely. It's so bad. But it's so cool to
terrible
think about.
Deck, but it's fun. It's fun ideas. But yeah, I guess outside of that, the only other thing really to talk about this set is the amount of cool artwork that we're getting. Yeah,
I was literally just talking about, let's talk about the meat and potatoes of this set. The cool art.
Yes.
The secret rares. Let's go ahead and get it out of the way with, they de-yassified all of Team Star, and it's heartbreaking. I didn't know this was Airy at first. If you're following along at home, there is an Airy full art coming out that if you didn't know, you'd just be like, who is this girl? It's really 100%. Sad. But I mean, it's a quaint set of cards. You see the whole squad just kind of hanging out in their student clothing. There's your pretty standard trainer full arts. I like the Atticus pose a lot. I think Atticus is really cool. Which I know is the whole point, but come on, chill out. They're designed to look cool. I'm okay saying they're cool, even though it's such a stereotypical like ninja, like whatever, shut up. Atticus is cool.
Oh, he's fun.
Yeah.
I love these designs. I think they did an outstanding job with just making these like fun alternate arts for these characters.
Yeah.
You know, and as someone who, full disclosure, hasn't played any Pokemon video games since Black and White, you know, this is like making me really want to pick up a copy of Scarlet or Violet and give it a go. So I'm gonna probably have to do that sometime soon.
Hey, you are welcome to. I hope you have fun. I still need to do some of the DLC from Scarlet and Violet, but it's a Pokemon game of all time. The more interesting artworks, though, are certainly the Pokemon. It's not even close. It's so cool. Just immediately, let's talk about the Evolutions because they are the bread and butter of this set.
Yes.
They all have on like the what is it? The Stellar Terra type hat on.
Yes, these are the crowns. They got
absolutely. I'm so glad. I prefer those so much to like the goofy little hats.
Yes.
The hats are just so ugly, but you can have like. Why would I ever want those hats when I can have this gorgeous crown and like the Chaos Emeralds going around my head?
And they did such a good job of like making all of these look so dang cool. Like the artists did an outstanding job on all of these evolutions. I will say
every single one. I can't even pick a favorite.
I think right. I'm trying to so hard right now.
I'm sitting here looking at all the cards, and I'm like, oh, this one's really cool. No, this one's really cool. Like I'm looking at, like I love. So let's start here. The Jolteon by Kentaro. The same. It's evident in just the dynamic pose and the art style. That this is the same artist who did the Joltik and Galvantula full arts from whatever that set was. Like, it's so dynamic and gorgeous. I think this is a sleeper artist pick that is really we're starting to see more from, and that's super exciting.
Absolutely.
I
love it. I'm so happy to see that. I'm
a big playing card collector. And also, I'm a big Glaceon stan, even though there's a lot of Glaceon haters. I think those people should chill out. But I'm a playing card collector too, right? So like you'll see, like behind me, I've got a bunch of like playing cards on that rack, and this Glaceon EX full art reminds me very much of like Bicycle Rider backs, and I think that's really really cool. I'm a big fan of this Glaceon art. The Vaporeon, is
I love how
gorgeous.
Like,
it's very stained glass.
Very much so. I actually really am a big fan of that stained glass style. Like making it on there, and it's they all look so dang good.
They're so good.
Same with the Umbreon kind of having a similar, like the Umbreon itself having the stained glass look.
Yeah.
Amidst like the rest of this, I don't really know what to call it, this kind of like classical
it's very baroque
sort of design.
It's very baroque in the way it looks, and almost creepy. It looks like it's emo baroque, we'll call it that. It's got this, it almost looks like a face that it's standing on. It just looks so gorgeous. Obviously it's an Umbreon. People are gonna flip their lids for it. People are gonna start taking out loans. The Espeon flying through these flowers is also so gorgeous with these like watercolor looks to it.
Yes, the I actually the Sylveon by Kona Nitanda, excuse me. That I love that art style right there. I think that's just such a good look for Sylveon. Like
it's very Studio
to kind
Ghibli.
Of come up with this and to kind of come up with this like light cartoony, slightly, you know, anime, very childlike, you know, look for it. I think cute. is kind
it's
of
just so cute.
Yeah, exactly. It's meant to just fit that, and I think that's so reflected so well for the Pokemon.
They do a great job of actually characterizing
all the EVs
so well in the art style that they're made in. Like this flare, even this so I think people also sleep on Flareon. This is a gorgeous Flareon. This Flareon's hanging out
Oh
in
my
the
god, it's so
in the
cool.
One Ring with this awesome
I was just thinking that.
fire spinning out from it. It looks so good. This
Yep.
is literally the Mount Doom Flareon card. Oh man, I'm
Yep.
aging myself. I
Yep.
need to chill out.
Oh man,
I just peeked the crap out of my mic. I'm so sorry. I guarantee there's gonna be somebody like, "What the heck is Mount Doom? What is that?
Oh yeah, 100%.
What's a One Ring?" We got the
but even
Ogrepons
outside of like
well.
the EVs,
Yeah,
the Ogrepons, I really dig the art style on the Ogrepons. Very it's getting close to like manga art a little bit, you know, like a very like classic like 90s manga art style that just seems so cool, very 90s. Comic booky. Yeah, it's like that perfect look to them, and the head on that head on look I think fits them perfectly, because again I think you need to see like the masks, you need to see what the design is, like that's the whole selling point of each of the Ogrepon mask cards. So what better way?
Yeah, I 100% agree. I do wish we had a card that focused on just regular old Ogrepon by herself a little more too. But I do love how unified all of these are in the same like pose, the same style, like just color swaps. And honestly, they almost remind me a little bit of Super Mario Brothers 2, where it's a theater in the back. Is it Super Mario Brothers 2 or 3? The one where it's a theater background, and it just has all those
3,
vibrant colors.
I think, yes.
Yeah. Just the vibrant colors, like the very clear, like almost like construction paper cutout looking like foreground and background. It's very reminiscent of like that stacked paper look. I think it looks really pretty.
Yeah. That looks so cool. Big ups on the Palafin.
I had it pulled up. I knew you were going here.
Oh man, and like big ups on the Palafin art because it looks really cool. Yeah, Tetsuo Ohara, Fist of the North Star artist, coming in and making this card just look so cool with that. It just fits. It fits big dude punches a lot, aura type stuff, you know. So
it's so sick.
Everyone who loves JoJo's, everyone who loves that, everyone who loves Fist of the North Star is just gonna get a kick out of that card for sure. I think that's gonna be if you're not even like a huge fan of Pokemon, you may actually still enjoy this card. Like that's how fun this card looks. And
it looks so sick.
Just the kind of like the chops of like having an artist like that do a card, I think is so important.
And this is this is like a not digital piece as well. I can't tell exactly.
No,
I think it's an actual.
I'm pretty sure it was
piece that was made, because I can see brushstrokes.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was drawn and then like physically painted, physically drawn, physically
and then
painted,
like scanned as well. Which is even more impressive to me. I do love like the digital artists, and I think digital art has an incredible place, and there's a lot of really cool digital art, which we'll see in a second. But like there's something about having that just raw materials, textures, brushstrokes visible on a card that's so gorgeous and exciting to me.
I guess next kind of go over. Yeah, the future guys are so cool. I love these. I love these so much. Like the Iron Hands, the Iron Hands looks absolutely sick in such a weird looking way, but so cool.
They took the lamest pose possible and made it go absolutely ballistic with how cool it looks.
Right? Like
it's got this cyberpunk neon comic book look to it. And he's just floating there. He looks like a doofus, but this card goes bananas.
Yeah, it looks so cool. The Iron Valiant, I think, looks so sick. I wish Iron Valiant was better, because this card makes me want to play Iron Valiant. Like that's how sick it looks.
This is when like the Phantom Menace music plays. Like What is
Oh
it? The
my
Duel
God.
of the This is the Duel of the Fates card.
Duel of Fates. Yep. It is 100% Duel of Fates.
Again,
Darth
aging
Maul
myself
steps out.
deeply. Oh man, that's so sick.
100%.
It's so
And then
sick
the
looking.
I mean, even the Iron Crown has this like
Yeah. The
kind of
grid thing going on.
minimalist style with like the Tron grid going behind it, like throwback to like the 80s with that, and it's just God, even that
synthwave
looks so
vibe.
cool.
Yeah.
Very much so. Jumping from like the futures to the ancients, they did such a good job with the ancient ones too, like
Yeah.
in such a sick way.
Roaring Moon is just
the
beautiful.
Oh my God, Roaring
Sandy
Moon looks
Shocks.
so good.
I was gonna go to the Sandy Shocks, but then I literally looked down and was like, I can't just not do this first. It's so pretty.
No, I think the Roaring Moon and the Raging Bolt are fantastic, very reminiscent of, especially the Roaring Moon. I think they did a good job of utilizing Shinji Kanda to do this art. The whirls on it, the brush strokes, all of it like looks insanely cool, and it just matches that style, the feel that you want for this card, and like a almost like classical Japanese art style look
Very
to
much
it.
so. Very much so.
That's so cool. Same thing with Raging Bolt, and then the Sandy Shocks kind of dips away from that actually, and looks
it's much more caveman,
almost like a
than,
cave
Japan.
drawing.
Yeah, it's way
but
more
it looks
like
so cool,
Unga Bunga cave moment than it is like feudal Japan, and I think that's rad.
Yeah,
and then
absolutely.
You've got this gorgeous. There is no good reason for this Golden Go to look this good.
Oh my God,
so
Golden Go looks
pretty.
fantastic.
He is raining money on like the camera. There's like the cityscape in the background. I'm trying to describe it because it occurred to me just now that listening to a podcast where we're just describing artwork might not be the optimal audio experience. So I'm doing my best to describe the artwork really thoroughly. But it's got this Art Deco, like pop art, not Art Deco, this pop art, like very reminiscent of what was the style, or what the Yes We Can, that style.
Oh yeah, I mean it's
like the, I don't know exactly what it's called.
Fits kind of the. It kind of is reminiscent of like the Warhol style, like pointillist movement, that kind of stuff, with like the color contrast on it. I think that's such a maybe not exactly Warhol style, since it's not the same thing over and over again in a different colors, but it is.
I get what you mean, though.
The color
pop art vibe, Same
very
with
much so.
With the
pop art
Petron DX too.
Mm-hmm.
They both have these very vibrant looks to them. It makes me care about Petron, even though like I didn't even play the part of the DLC where you encounter him in the game. I don't care about this dude. I think in the meta he's like fine, but like this card is like, I kind of want that.
Yeah. Oh, they both look so cool.
Yeah.
God, and then I guess to wrap it up, because we've got a few more left here. The Blood Moon Ursaluna.
Oh,
that is sick. I'm sorry, that's
perfect.
So sick.
It's perfect. I think that is. I don't think you can get a better art for Blood Moon Ursaluna. It looks so sinister. It looks so like intense. Even just the way like the art is super like, how do I describe it? It's kind of there's no like harsh lines really. There's not like an outline to it. It looks very much like some of the shapes kind of fade into each other here and there. It's only really highlighted by the highlights on the image. Is the only thing that really gives it its shape, and it kind of invokes that idea of like, oh, this Blood Moon Ursaluna is like this like cryptid creature that in this universe that like people would only see every now and then. It's like super mysterious and scary, and this evokes that 110%. It's so gorgeous. I can't help but be in love with that card.
Yep. And then Yano Keiji, actually the artist who did it, is the same one who did the SIRs for the Ogrepons that we got when we first got all of the Ogrepon EX cards. Yes. So
very nice.
It's very reminiscent of that style if you start looking between them, which is interesting because like the Ogrepons are a lot more like kind of hard lines on those cards because they have the terrestrialization, so they have to have like those like kind of sharper lines on them. And even those cards are still flowy and have movement to them. They're not, you know, just straight lined. It was very much, you know, just flow through it. Like I said, this Ursaluna takes that and I think just builds off of that and,
it up to 11
does even more. And then to contrast that, right, you've got the new Dragapult SIR. Oh my god,
the David Bowie Dragapult.
So cool.
It's so good. It looks beautiful. It's so much because I love Dragapult's color scheme in general, just like the blue and the pink and the green, and it's all over the place. And then on top of that, it's like it's just all these brilliant colors coming out from right behind it. It's got its babies locked and loaded, ready to fire. The front facing the camera. It's so gorgeous. 100% trying to get this card when it comes out because spoiler alert, I'm playing that deck. Oh, man.
I'm going through some of these artists while we're kind of like talking, just because a lot of this stuff looks so cool. But the artist who did the Dragapult as well, Jerky has done some incredible Pokemon art, I will say. Off the top of my head, one of my favorite SIRs that I have pulled, the Stellar Crown Gulpin, with the Gulpin eating the cake off of this plate, like swallowing the thing whole. Just one of my favorite cards out of that set. That was kind of like my chase for the set.
Yeah, Jerky also did the Tapu Koko EX SIR.
The Tapu Koko EX, the Tatsugiri art, the Pidgeot EX art. Actually, I shouldn't say just the Pidgeot EX. It's the whole like Pidgey line from Obsidian Flames. Came from Jerky.
The Crown Zenith
the Shuppet. Yeah,
wow.
That's such a cool Luminion art. I'm actually really gonna miss that card because that art is beautiful.
It's so gorgeous.
So just to kind of see someone like come in and do so many like more cool artwork art pieces and then obviously, like I said, this thing I think is gonna sell.
I can't wait to see it on stream, dude. It's gonna rock.
My god.
Here's the thing. Okay, if you're a high level player watching this for some reason, put your cards in non-glare sleeves, dude, especially if they're pretty like this one. Put them in non-glare sleeves. There is a company that goes unnamed because I'm not sponsored by them, who makes non-glare black matte sleeves that just put them in there. I'm tired of looking on the camera and being flashbanged by what your card is because the camera lighting is just, I can't even read the thing because it's all over the place. Put your cards in non-glare sleeves. Be responsible.
Yep.
You're doing a service to the whole community.
No, it'll be cool to see those ones, those hit the board on stream if someone decides to really like put the money in to get these, because these cards are going to stay high for a long while.
Terrapagos too. This Terrapagos is gorgeous. It's going to be really expensive.
Oh my god. Yeah. I don't even know the projections on the price points of these in Japan, but Japanese prices are always lower than US prices.
That's right.
For these cards. So whatever Japan is paying for these, expect to pay like a lot more because it's going to be ridiculous. But yeah, let me go a little past that. I think we've got a couple more. Yeah, we've got a few more supporters actually. The special illustration rare supporters.
That's right. Janine's Secret Technique gets an interesting print.
I think interesting is a good place. I think interesting is a good place to put that, and maybe leave it there because
I agree. I do like these. I love these. I love these Blueberry Academy Elite 4 cards.
Yes,
because they've all got that strong border on them. If
Mhm.
you haven't played the game, so you would need to know. These cards that have that border are all the Elite Four in the DLC.
Okay.
And so it's
Gotcha.
cool that they had that
Gotcha.
border unifying them, sort of like how in what was the one set where the Arvin and Penny and whoever else, I think Nimona, all had the Pokeball in the center that was like the big defining
Yeah.
factor that unified the cards. These are in that same way, and also I think that's the same artist who did the Miriam SIR from Scarlet Violet base set.
Okay. I,
I'm
I love
inclined
I
to say
love
that.
this artwork right here.
Mhm.
I can't really, unfortunately, the scans that we're looking at don't have, you know, great quality on them.
Yeah, no, certainly
But
not.
that's okay. Uh, we'll know once they release and we get
Yeah,
better quality, or if I decide to look it up.
true.
um,
And this
but yeah,
Kirin is also gorgeous.
the Kieran is great. I love this like
It's
shot
too
with
good.
the just the sunset in the background and everything. Like it looks fantastic. Also, it's nice that they will show him with like his hair not just in his face the
Yeah,
entire time. You know,
that is from
give
his
him a
villain
little bit
arc
of a
in the
different look.
game. When he starts tweaking out. But no, really. That
Oh
is.
man.
Wait, is that
That'll be excuse me.
what's going on? You're telling me that's not the same artist? So for some reason, apparently, Lori Suzuki is not the same artist who did the Perrin or the Carmine full art in this very similar style.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Iori Suzuki, not Lori. It's
Hmm.
Iori Suzuki. I apologize. Um,
Yes.
yeah, surprising because that art is very reminiscent of those other two designs. I also think it's cool that there's the player character and Carmine there in the background. Just some cool world
Yep.
building. It's
Yep.
a pretty it's cool for if you like have played the games. You should play the games just because the story is really cool. If you like
Yeah.
this card tells a
I
lot more story if you played the games.
I'm definitely going. Like a lot of the cards are really like pushing me towards it because it seems like that and like back when I was younger and I was playing a lot, or at least a little bit or collecting a little bit. Like I feel like the cards didn't have that same cohesiveness to like the story in the same way that it feels like they've really tried pushing like heavy story with the DLC and stuff like that in the newer games, and then these cards coming out to like match it and everything. So, um, I think that's cool at least that you get stuff like that and that it gets shown. I think let's see, there's a little bit more. There's the
there's
gold
just the
cards.
gold cards, which are actually not bad. They're not the teal ones that we got from what was that set? Was that I don't remember what the set was.
Oh, was it
Was it
Paldean Fates?
Maybe, but
I think it was Fates.
I think it
maybe.
was too.
I don't know.
Correct us in the comments. It's good for engagement.
Yeah,
these are gorgeous.
I think all of them look really cool, and they play off like kind of alternate colors on the Pokemon in a really fun way, like making instead like you've got Iron Crown, or I mean, Iron Leaves here instead of being green, it's got the light blue on it. Walking Wake's got the orange, red instead of the blue that it should have, and just kind of like playing that. The Ogerpon sticks with green. It's is what it is, but
yeah,
like just having these designs. This Pikachu is going to,
dude, that Pikachu's gonna
be ridiculous,
break a lot of banks.
Yeah,
I love how with the
absolutely.
stellar type ones, they made it so that there's like rainbow foiling and actual coloration on it.
Yeah,
rather than
I think
just
that's
having,
so cool.
it's so pretty to look at because a lot of gold cards in the past have been so ugly, just being like cheese colored. And like I love that they're finally leaning into like, oh, we can add some color and make it look better. It's very very cool. And like the walking wake, like you said, with the red orange, I love that. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I think I was gonna say I actually figured. I just realized it. I think it's specifically putting like the red orange for the walking wake, the light blue for the Iron Leaves to fit the ancient and future typing or denominations on them. I think that's really cool too. It's something I missed until I kind of like re-looked at them.
That's really cool. I didn't even think about that. That's actually really, really impressive.
I think that's fun because that means if we get more reprints of like more gold cards of older ancient and future Pokemon, if that happens, that means that that's more potential for exactly like a gold Roaring Moon, please.
A gold Roaring Moon with just like the
it'll
wings.
Be a little bit of orange on there. Oh my god, so cool.
Sorry,
but
I'm so excited. I love the art of this game.
The set looks phenomenal, and it's such a shame that, like we said before, with scalpers like coming in and really just buying up everything, it's going to kind of wreck a lot of the collectability for casual collectors and for players. And I'm disappointed about that because I was kind of looking forward to maybe getting a little bit of this, but the prices mean I'm pretty much not going to touch this set aside from Badoo and Regigigas singles.
Yeah, absolutely. That's it. And if I'm sure there will be some stores that might be doing those cards for prize outs, because I know some stores like to break apart their like special sets. I remember Buzz City for like is still selling Crown Zenith packs. I don't think they did it with Shrouded Fable, but maybe they'll do it with this one. I'll probably try to convince them, just on account of the fact that this is insane. It's such a good set. You'd be remiss to not sell packs or do packs for prize out. That's really all there is for this set, though. Unfortunately, the noteworthy reprints are like obviously Dragapult, Dusk's Area Zero's in there, Terapagos is in there, Prime Catcher's in there, Baby Moon is in there. The Ogerpons, I think, are all present. Fluttermane, Screamtail, Monkey Dory are all in there. Iron Hands, Iron Thorns, both in there. If you don't, I have 2 Iron Hands EX prize pack promos just chilling out. If anybody needs them, hit me up. I feel like that card used to be so important, and now it's not at all. Which is
it'll make a comeback.
Oh, for sure.
It'll make a comeback. Badoo being as prevalent as it is, Iron Thorns can start eating again.
Yeah, definitely.
Or excuse me, Iron Hands. I didn't say Thorns. Yes, Hands can start eating again.
Truly.
Heavily.
Let's go ahead and
beyond
talk
that,
about how that's going to affect the meta, in fact. Because that's really all there is.
Oh. Yeah, pretty much. I was going to say...
Yeah, go ahead.
There's a few cut cards from this set. Like you mentioned. I was going to... I don't know. We don't have to go over those. Those are...
we can talk
they're
about
not in this set.
They're important. They're important nonetheless.
They're really the only ones that I thought about were like the Lilligant and the Blaziken.
The Copium Blaziken, everyone's favorite.
Copium Blaziken, yep.
It's cool though. I like it a lot. I hope it's good. I hope I'm wrong about this card. I
would not like to be proven wrong about this card because I full disclosure, Blaziken is probably like my favorite starter in Gen 3 over like Swampert and Sceptile. Like
I get that.
Blaziken has always been my favorite for that generation. It looks cool. Firefighting is such a fun combo, and it was like the first one to do it, so props to that. So just to see like kind of one of my favorite Pokemon of that generation get printed into a card again, I don't think there's been a Blaziken in a while, so getting to see it, come up more modern, that's cool. That's always fun.
It's been a while since we've had a Blaziken.
Yeah. Whether it'll be good or not, we don't know.
What was the last one? The Rapid Strike VMAX one, I want to say?
Yeah, I think that might be
And that one was not very good.
No. Just for reference, this Blaziken that was cut, the Blaziken EX, 320 HP, fire type. Its ability, because I can't read Japanese, but I've paid attention to it at least. Its ability lets you accelerate one basic energy from your discard to one of your Pokemon on your side of the board once per turn. And then for one fire and one colorless, you can attack for 200, and then it cannot attack the next turn. Yeah. So it's going to have to retreat if you want to attack. I don't think this thing is going to be a main attacker if you're using it in a deck. I think it's going to be a support Pokemon and a backup attacker in decks that like big basics, that need big basics to power up a little bit easier. Stuff like your Pikachu EX, maybe trying to figure out how to make it work with like Koraidon EX with that Kaiser Tackle, that kind of thing. So I don't know if that'll be good or not, but I am absolutely on the copium train with it.
I get it. I want to be proven wrong about this card because to me it just seems like fine.
Yeah.
I really hope it's good for everyone else's sake. But that's kind of all of Prismatic Evolutions that's worth noting, even like as far as cut cards goes. Let's move on to kind of how we got a little bit of time. We can talk about kind of how these cards are affecting the meta over in Japan. Let's talk about that. I'm going to pull up the Limitless page. You tell me what you've got.
I've been looking at the stuff from Pokébook, and they've got like a quick analysis on stuff a little bit, but as of the summary on the Pokébook website today, they have Charizard up right now. Just the ability to kind of Charizard just to survive in general is really good, but Badoo is something that Charizard can come in with and use itself, even with it being an item heavy deck, and still use this to its advantage to go against other item heavy builds and make going second favorable for Charizard again. And I think we're going to see that a lot more now. I think we were kind of in like a go first for the stage 2 decks for a little while, where they really wanted to go first. They really wanted to set up because everything else that was going first was setting up against them and doing it better. So now we get to see stage 2 decks go and say, okay, well, I don't need to go first. I can have better support. I can play my supporters. I can go second, and I can also stop the other decks that want to stop me from setting up or stop me from coming in and swinging soon. I can stop them from having their setup now with Badoo. So I think Charizard likes that. Same thing with Dragapult and Gardevoir. It's very similar.
I think what's so cool about Badoo is it makes it so that stage 2 decks are actually stage 2 decks again and not just stage 1 decks with extra steps.
Yes.
Like so I'm looking right now at the City League from Hokkaido on January 5th. Dragapult is obviously going to play Dracloaks because it's going to draw cards with Dracloaks. But seeing the Charmeleons and the Pidgeotos in Charizard is really cool. It makes me it's kind of a return to form because those decks for so long were just opting to not play the middle evolution stage, having things be a more not necessarily slow, but definitely like slower pace where you have to have more things go right, where people are playing like this one doesn't play any TM evolution, but it does play Grand Tree, which is wild to me. I would have never thought. Because I've got 2 of those in a binder just chilling out because they're in my mind useless. But now it's seeing play because those are important cards.
Yeah, I think Badoo coming in and stopping Charizard from using items has let Charizard kind of open itself back up to playing a little bit fast and loose with stuff like that. So you can play your Grand Tree and you can get your setup. So you can even go first with this Charizard deck, for instance. I know I just was talking about Charizard being okay with going second now because of Badoo, but this one that doesn't run Badoo is able to go second and or able to go first, able to play Grand Tree on its second turn, trying to, get that out as quick as possible,
Yeah.
and then set up a Pidgeot very quickly, and then use that to get into a Charizard. And it can even just, it can do that while taking like still meaningful, KOs, or setting up meaningful damage with the Duskull, or the Dusclopses and Dusknoirs that it has built into it. I think that it doesn't mind playing a little bit slower, and it's clearly doing perfectly fine, coming in second, at the City League. So
100%. I think it's cool how Badoo's
meanwhile
even impacting like deck building, as far as not just the stages, but also opening up the opportunity to play other versions of cards, right? So now you see Charizard decks are playing Heat Tackle Charmander, right? And like little attackers that can take care of a Badoo really quickly without having to really, really, really stress. Like you're able to knock out a Badoo really fast, and then and not stress about it item locking you turn over turn. You're making sure you only get one item lock off. Or to the point where you're playing suboptimal Prince of cards. I've always been on the bad Dreepy train. There's a Silver Tempest Dreepy with 60 HP that for one psychic will reckless charge for 30 and do 10 to itself. I've been rocking that since Dragapult was a deck, and I think this is an opportunity where that card could become good because Badoo is a problem. There's folks who disagree with me, who are like, it's only good when like the deck is bad, but I disagree with that. I think there's never any harm in having an out against Badoo. I think for that reason it's really, really cool.
Yep, and we see with like the Dragapult builds now, because they have Badoo, they're able to take some more time on their setup, so they can, try to bench a bunch of Dreepy on turn 1, try to go into Dracloak on turn 2. They're going second, item locking and stopping an opponent from playing against them, and then using stuff like Lance of all cards to suddenly pull out all of these dragon types. I mean, Lance on turn 1 for this deck may actually be better in some cases than an Arven, just because it's like you can Lance for
whatever you
3 Dreepy if you need to,
3 Dreepy
that's kind of crazy if you need that. If you've got the Buddy Poffin, you'll just Lance the next turn then and play your Arven and Lance next turn for all of your cloaks, and then it's cool. It's fun to see the deck start innovate like this.
It also means that you're seeing more cards, like you're seeing more builds with Tatsugiri in them. Because you're having to go rely on supporters that don't involve items as much. Because when you're under item lock, Arven is just a tool card.
Yeah,
like you might as well play 100%. A Town Store. So I think as important as Badoo is for negating the effectiveness of stage 2 decks being super turbo, it's also important for reducing the effectiveness of Arven, which is undoubtedly one of the best cards in the format right now. One of the best supporters for sure, if not the best supporter.
Yeah, I think it's cool to definitely see that. So yeah, the stage twos definitely up right now, because stage 2s like Zard and Dragapult are up for their own reasons. Gardevoir is coming back up because single prize decks, or at least decks that like Gardevoir functions as a single prize deck. Gardevoir loves this kind of environment where it doesn't need a lot of item cards to function in a way, and I think that's cool. So it's got, I mean, Gardevoir just does Gardevoir things. No, it really doesn't. I don't even think we saw like Call Bell builds kind of start popping up, and I don't think those are even doing much of anything right now. Like Call Bell Guardy just isn't that great, and we're able to play Slow Guardy again, which is always fun. Like Slow Guardy, best Guardy personally. But
I agree.
It's cool to see that come back. So
I love seeing this stuff where just little tiny changes, because the City League
Mhm.
Tokyo on January 5th, the winning Gardevoir list is almost no, it is buildable right now. There is nothing that changes about it except people decided, okay, item lock exists. Let me put in a Tatsugiri so I can get my supporters, I guess. Like, what else are you gonna do? Like, it's just a nice little thing that you can add on if you want. I don't know if that's the optimal play or not. I'm not a high level player, but I think that's cool to add. Like, the deck doesn't change much. Gardevoir is gonna be really good next format, and I'm probably
Yeah.
gonna have to rebuild it as a result of that, just to give it a shot, and also get
Yeah.
my trade practice in for Zoroark.
I'm thinking about going back to Guardy for a little while. I haven't played it in a bit, and I mean, playing it on live is an absolute nightmare, unfortunately, because
Tedious.
yeah, it's the one deck that I feel bad about hating on live, but I hate it on live because I hate being on the receiving end and the giving end of Psychic Embrace, like having to stand and or just one, all right, damage counter, another one, damage counter. Like it's
Yeah.
just so painful. But I will go back to it. I will go back to
Yeah.
it because it's fun, and if it's winning, I would love to play it again.
Yeah. It's also such a good deck for skill expression. It's
Yeah.
a deck that until it rotates, it's going to have potential to be very, very good. But
absolutely.
new archetypes are also popping up. Sorry, go ahead. You were saying
for
something
sure.
about Guardy.
Oh, I was just going to say also, Guardy is going to be great at a lot of the local level stuff, since Guardy rocks best of one. Like Guardy absolutely rocks a best of one gameplay format. Not so much in best of three because of how long it takes to play out matches when you're Guardy. So you're going to have a tougher time at cups when you hit top cup with Guardy, potentially. But Guardy absolutely rocks the best of one format because all it needs to do is just take KOs enough that it just needs one more once you hit time. Once you hit time, then it doesn't care, you know? So that's really all I was going to add on. Yeah, I think the next thing, though, that's kind of like on a big come up again, we've got Lugia V-Star kind of coming back.
Lugia V-Star is 100% coming back with the Regigigas being so potent. You don't have to play the rats anymore, or if you do, you play like a 1/1. We'll have to ask Shane's input because I'm sure he's got strong opinions about it. But Lugia is going to be very good. It's a deck that just does its own thing. But what I'm surprised to see a lot more of, at least out of Japan, is the two following things, right? I'm seeing a ton of Archaludon, and I'm seeing a ton of Ceruledge. And I think those two are kind of one and the same. They're very much like two sides of the same coin, because I'm sure anytime Archaludon is good, well, no, anytime Archaludon is good, Ceruledge is going to be good, because Ceruledge is one of the few things that can hit for 300 without weakness being a factor. Just because of the sheer volume of energy that it plays. But I think that's a really strong argument for those two archetypes showing up next format. Because they also both don't exactly rely on item cards a bunch. In fact, you and I were just talking before the show started on the Kanagawa January 5th City League. This deck looks like a WCS 2022 deck. It is just straight. It's 4-ofs, consistency. Just it's so interesting. Like, it's a 4 research, 4 boss, 3 Iono deck. Like, that's unheard of. It's just a very straightforward beater deck, and it's cool.
Very much so. And I think it's fun that Arch list didn't they didn't include the what is it? The Dialgas. No Dialgas.
Yeah, it's
and
just
no
straight
scissors.
Archaludon.
It's Archaludon, and the only thing that you have in there to kind of like spice up your attacks, aside from just punching really hard with Archaludon's Metal Defender, is using Relicanth so that you can use Duraldon's Raging Hammer.
Yes.
That's it. Which Archaludon, loves that ability, the Relicanth Memory Dive ability.
Yeah.
Archaludon loves that because it's, I mean, 300 HP is very hard to one-shot in this format.
Especially with no
it's
weakness.
very hard. We see, yes, 300 no weakness is very hard. Your opponent, if your opponent's running like a Charizard list, they can't just come in with Radzard and sweep up after you knock something out with your Archaludon. Like it's not happening.
They would
Metal
have to
Defender
Dusk and Radzard.
Yeah. They really need to put in a lot more work to kind of take KOs on Archaludon. So Archaludon loves having that kind of support. And then outside of that, I mean, you have the usual suspects for the other supporting Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Greninja, Lumineon, Fez, Squawk, and an Iron Bundle in there to kind of move some stuff around if you need to. But yeah, this is like a hyper consistent list, actually. I love that. Running off of like, the only thing that I almost wish was in here is like a Pokestop or two. With how much items there are in this, I almost wish that. But at the same time, it's not needing the items, and with Badoo kind of existing, I think that speaks more to the testament of like not wanting to rely on that and instead wanting to have the jamming tower to shut down stuff. Like I'd assume jamming towers in there pretty much just to help it out in the Guardy matchups and stuff like that, to prevent Guardy from getting as strong as it can to start taking stuff out. Your Drifloons won't be able to punch for KO on an Archaludon if they can't use the Bravery Charm.
It's also going up against, it was going up against a lot of Gardevoir in this tournament. It's also good against like ancient decks. It's good against anything that plays Rotom V and the Forest Sealstone. It's good against Snorlax decks for that reason. Like, this is a really important deck to look out for in the coming format.
Yeah, absolutely. And then kind of like you mentioned with on the flip side of that, with the Ceruledge decks, the Ceruledge decks I think are the inverse of that, where they're embracing the Badoo because Ceruledge wanted something for its go second games. That's because it needs, I think this, and I think Badoo actually helps it out a lot, because now you're able to flip the kind of supporter lineup on a Ceruledge deck. I think initially when we saw them, they ran like heavy on Carmine and a little bit lighter on Professor's Research. So you'd see like 4 Carmine, 2 Research, and they'd go first and they'd get 5 out of hand, draw into the next 5, or get rid of the hand, draw into the next 5, and then go from there on turn 1 with Carmine. Now, with Badoo, they can just embrace going second, Badooing to stop item cards and prevent your stage 2 decks from setting up, and your anything else from just trying to advance board state, and then research more stuff out of hand and draw more stuff out of your deck, or at least research the same stuff out of hand, but draw more out of your deck. And we love, like, I think this deck is absolutely loving that. So I think Ceruledge will be interesting to see kind of what happens from there. I noticed some of them, they're running actually this Monkey Dory in there, and like a lot of dark energy. I think that's really interesting. Like they're playing around the Dragapults heavily with that. And
it's a really important deck nice format.
That's kind of interesting that like it's Dragapult is enough of a deck to watch out for, that they'll go and cut back on maybe consistency tools that they might want for having this one of card. It doesn't matter about the darkness energy quite as much, I guess, but like having the one of Monkey Dory for the Dragapult matchup definitely is. I just think that's so interesting.
Absolutely, like, it's a cool card. It's an interesting tech. Monkey Dory is one of those cards that if you have space in your deck and you know that Dragapult exists, you ought to put it. You think you owe it to yourself to put in a one of Monkey Dory, one of or two of Dark Energy, and just let it ride, because Dragapult is going to. I'm going to call it now. They're going to get to a point where Dragapult to some players is going to feel oppressive. And unless you really know how to outmaneuver that deck, you're going to struggle. And it's one of those situations where in order to outmaneuver the deck, you have to build against it. There's ways to counter decks where you can outplay certain things, but there's other decks where if you don't build to respect it, you're not winning that matchup. And I think Dragapult is a prime example of one of those decks that you have to build around if you're to properly respect it. Otherwise, you are just going to struggle.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think we're seeing more and more of that now, and I'm almost a little surprised that like these the Iron Thorns Dragapult decks are not doing quite as well, or at least we're not seeing as many of them in kind of the top 16 of these City League decks. But I think that might just be testament to just how good not having to rely on this chunky stage 2 to slow stuff down is, when you can rely on the tiny Badoo instead to do the same exact thing for you, or at least something relatively similar, you know?
Absolutely. So, well, because if you think about it, like what is Iron Thorns EX really doing in the active spot to like stop you, other than I guess it shuts off Charizard if they get an aggressive start. It shuts off Fez, but I think item cards are more important because in a scenario where if I'm facing down somebody a Dragapult, right, and I'm going first, and then I whiff maybe like some of the cards I need for a good setup. I can't play a supporter turn 1. They're going second, and turn 2, if I'm going first, I would much rather be able to play item cards than have abilities, because Pidgeot EX is good, Lumineon V is good, Pheasantipity EX is broken, but I would much rather be able to play something like Rare Candy. I'd rather at least be able to establish a Pidgeot EX and not use it than not be able to establish my board state. It's one thing for me to have a board state and it's just not doing me as many favors. It's another thing entirely to not be able to set my board up, because that's Buddy Poplin, that's Nest Ball, that's Ultra Ball, Terra Orb, Rare Candy, that's Ancient Vessel, man. Like, that's so many potent cards that you are just not getting to play. Meanwhile, Thorns shuts off like Charizard, Pidgeot, and I guess like Radiant Greninja. Like, that's kind of it. Other than I don't know, Golden Go's getting kind of good. Lugia is going to be good. The occasional Palkia deck, but like I think Thorns becomes less valuable because there's more potent disruption with less of an investment cost.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair. And I think that's also reflected in kind of like a definite decrease in the go second turbo build, decks. Right now it looks like in Japan, certainly, Raging Bolt and Miraidon on the downswing means that Thorns, definitely isn't doing as much when you're not shutting off, Tandem Unit, when you're not shutting off Squawk abilities quite as much, you're definitely just kind of not doing a whole heck of a lot.
Right.
So yeah, I think I can see why. I'm really excited to see some of these things start, just kind of taking off.
Ooh. Sorry, I noticed your bestie made top 16 in Kanagawa. Arceus Armarouge made 16th place in that. But yeah, no, it's absolutely interesting. It's a super interesting change to the format. And another thing that I see a distinct lack of that is surprising is Regidrago V-Star. Like, that deck, it wasn't really until right now where we're seeing. Sorry, some of these lists are silly. I'm looking at a Ceruledge Simisear V-Star deck right now. And but the
man.
But it's interesting to see that how hard that deck falls off without the item
Yeah.
cards that you need to discard your attackers.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think it's the lack of item cards. It's the lack of item cards to discard stuff. It's also the lack of being able to run those energy switches. When you can't run an energy switch or two to get your energies moved around off of your ogre pawns, suddenly that puts Draco back to where it was before ogre pawn, where it's just a thing that has to slowly power up once a turn or rely on a slow method like turbo energize,
Yeah, like turbo energize, or like put it in a crispin or something. Like
exactly. Like it's just it's back to these slow methods of powering up, and I think that definitely is something that drives down Drago, which personally I love Drago, but I'm happy to see Drago start decreasing a little bit because it gives everything else breathing room. I think I don't have the stats right in front of me, but I recall that at like one of the more recent like regional events, Draco was at like a 25% meta share. And I don't think a lot of people were really quite as like, I don't know, worked up over that the same way that they were over like Charizard being in the exact same spot a little under a year ago.
Yeah.
Because Charizard hit like that same level at like the in I think it was like April in like Orlando last year.
Yeah.
And
Drago was almost in that spot where Palkia Inteleon was. Where in Toronto, it took up 6 of the top 8 spots.
Mm-hmm.
Like that should not be lost on this community, is that deck is too good right now.
Yeah, I think, and I mean, we saw Drago do the exact same thing. What was it? A regional or two ago, it was 6 of the top 8.
Yep.
Were all Drago. Like that's, I think that's. I mean, it's a testament to how good the deck is doing, but it's definitely nice to see all of these city leagues just no Drago in them, because that means that we can look forward to maybe less Drago in the format for a while, and that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, which is great, because that also means Lost Box is good again. It's back on the table.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was actually just kind of looking at some of the Trainer Hill data for decks right now, at least in like online tournaments. And so this obviously isn't going to be reflected with like Badoo, but I think one of the biggest things to note really is that Lost Box has pretty much its worst matchups into Drago and Control decks, and then I guess Ancient Box for some reason. I'm not really
it struggles
sure
against
why.
Ancient Box. Ancient Box is really good against Lost Zone, just as a result of like being bigger, not being knocked out as easily. The numbers for Lost Box not mattering as much.
Yeah, that's fair. I can understand that. Okay. But yeah, it's crazy just how bad it does against Drago. Like 35% win rate against Drago is horrendous. So Drago goes down, Lost Box comes up, and I am very excited to see that, because I would too like to go back to picking flowers.
Yeah.
Sablezard is been something I've been looking forward to playing with that Regigigas. So
absolutely,
I think that's gonna do really, really cool stuff.
I'm super pumped about what this set is going to actually bring to the game. It's amazing how something as simple as like this set has 2 playable cards in it, and it's incredible how much it shakes up the meta.
Yeah,
and I'm really excited about that for that reason exclusively.
Yeah,
I wish that it wasn't going to be such an acquiring nightmare where like getting cards is going to be super, super difficult. But I understand that like things will chill out. Scalpers will, do their thing. But we will ultimately be getting a meta that looks different, despite the fact that the set is hard to come by and not very playable as a whole. Which is what makes me has me looking forward to what this meta is going to bring when it does finally come out. You said what? It's a week from today, right?
Yes. Release date is officially on the 17th.
Nice. Oh yeah.
And so
for my birthday, I need everybody to send in a Badoo, please, and a Regigigas so that I don't have to buy any singles. I think that'd be perfect.
I think what was it? Ooh, and speaking of the release, because I guess I wanted to highlight this really quickly. With the release, stuff is going to also be going up on PTCG Live for anyone who plays that. If you're a fan of playing against a weird meta and weird decks on the ladder, there is going to be 2 new decks as well for the release. So I think once you update your game and everything, upon starting in on the new what is it? Battle Pass, I guess. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You're going to get a free Flareon EX deck at tier 0.
Oh, that's cool.
This deck looks terrible. This deck looks horrendous.
It probably is.
I can see the vision behind it, but this deck looks truly awful to play. The idea. Oh my god! Just they've got like 1 glass trumpet in here, and I don't understand what that's doing. Like I need more glass trumpet and energy switches, or something like that. I guess like more glass trumpet even just to power up like the EVEX to then play the Flareon EX onto it, and then attack that way would be something. But yeah, I don't know who this deck is for. Someone who doesn't like winning, I guess. I guess really know.
It's for somebody who agrees that Flareon is slept on and also does not like winning. So I guess this deck is really for me, because I love playing bad decks and I think Flareon is cool. So I guess they made this one just for me, I suppose.
Yeah, I have a feeling if I try playing this, I'm going to be like banging my head on my desk.
It'll be tough
every single game. Yeah, but the other free deck that we're getting, if you climb up to tier 33 on the Battle Pass, you're going to get Regidrago V-Star. Just in time
for it to be bad.
Experience it in a bad format for another 2 months. Yeah. Again,
what a shame. But also cry about it.
Yep. I mean, I will say, if you have, I guess if you have like maxed out copies of the cards in the Drago V-Star deck, you're looking at getting some good credits. So
true.
There's something to be said for that.
If you've already bought all the Shadow Rider VMAX decks that you can muster, if you've already bought all of the what is it? Whatever the Fates set, the Celebrations. You've maxed out on Celebrations.
Yes, Celebrations.
It's time to
be fair, at least with Celebrations, you don't have to max out on live. I think you can. There's a few things that you can get that are endless for Celebrations purchases. But
that's cool.
Regardless, yeah, this again, it's cool, but Drago is only here for 2 more months. So I guess if you are super new and never got a chance to play it and you want to try it out in a format that is not good for it,
be my guest.
Climb to tier 33 and have some fun.
Yeah, have fun. Enjoy that. But speaking of future metas, we are going to move on to the bonus show here in a little bit. We're going to wrap things up here, and we're going to move on to N21 Plus, where we are going to be discussing the upcoming Birmingham Regional Tournament and what you can and should expect for the meta there. Hop on over to patreon.com/terminal creative for this content. $5 a month. That's 1 pack. You're not going to spend it on Prismatic Evolutions. You're not going to be able to afford a pack for $5. So slide those dollar rupees our way and get some bonus content for yourself. It really helps out the show.
Yep.
and we will see you there. Anything else before we sign off?
Nope.
Cool.
Like, comment, subscribe.
That's right.
You know, all the fun stuff.
Exciting. All right, let's go talk about Birmingham.
Alrighty.